pull myself together.
So now I'm live. Hey,
Nay, sir.
I thought that I was streaming, and I've been streaming for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, wait a minute. It doesn't tell me if I have a good signal or not. Well, that's because I was recording locally. So let me start this over again. Sorry for people who may have, hopefully you stuck around after I sent out that update that I'm going live. Good Lord. So where'd I go? Stop that. Go back here. I'm doing splendid so far, aren't I? So this is live, clearly. I am drawing a page of my new comic series, Bobert and the Monster, and I only want to do it for 20 minutes, and now I'm going to have to do it a little longer than 20 minutes because like I said, hit record instead of streaming, but now I'm streaming. So I'm going to listen to, since it's Halloween season, I'm going to listen to an episode of the old-time radio show Suspense from 1962. So, you know, kind of just a cheesy little horror sort of show. And also it's only 24 minutes long, and that's really how much time I want to spend doing this because I have other stuff to do, other things I need to get done today. So let me go and start that episode of Suspense, and I am going to draw the comic now. Can't believe that entire time I was recording video.
I shudder when I think of what my parents would say if they could see their daughter at this moment, alone in John's bedroom.
Risque.
I have the right.
Shoot.
I must learn what I can about what happened. What drew him away from me? I think he loved me, but there were times when he hated me. So I've cast my inhibitions to the winds. I waited as long as I could for an answer to whatever happened.
That is some intense instrumentation going on in the
What I
background.
was looking for. John's diary. I've always known he kept one. Maybe he told it what he never would have told me. He used to tell me everything. Will I find proof another woman meant more to him than I? When did he start acting so strangely?
Maybe when you started going through his stuff.
April. Yes, April, I think. Here is the first entry for that month. Something is wrong with me lately. I am not feeling very well. Actually, that is a ridiculous statement. For physically, I am as fit as can be.
Living as I do here on the farm, half out of doors, sleeping like a log. Eating the good country food my house beekeeper prepares so carefully for me. How could anything go wrong with the solid and well-constructed machine that is my body? No, it is something
Weird
deeper
flex.
and less tangible than that. It's very hard
In his
to put
own
into
diary.
words.
My
What I'm most
body's so
conscious of is
perfect.
a division within myself, a conflict of desires and emotions. I find myself wanting to do something and yet not wanting to do it at the same time. Last night, that business of Janet, I was freshening up with the usual anticipation that I always feel when I'm going to see her, when suddenly I experienced the most positive reaction against going to her house. My whole
It's a
system
reflection of
secretly
myself.
revolted against the idea. And for a moment, I found myself actually disliking her, no? Let me be completely honest.
Oh, hey, what's up, Damon?
This doesn't make sense. She is my darling, and without her, my life would be empty.
Good to see you. How you been?
Jimmy. Of course, I overrode that ridiculous feeling and walked across the knoll to her place anyway. But somehow the evening was spoiled. I didn't feel the same unalloyed pleasure in the company that I always do. Part of me was at peace and at home, as I always am, and the other part wanted to rush away, to be free of her.
Yeah?
Since I did not indulge that strange
Let me
whim,
pause
just sat there being
my show here for a second. So what you been busy on, Damone? I want to hear all about it. So anybody who watches this, they need to check out Moan Media's channel. He does a lot of great video work. Thank you. Love my drawing style. That's awesome. I do too. It's pretty much all I know how to do. So what new stuff you got coming out? Although I know this is all hard to type. So you can type as little or whatever that you want. But give me one update on something that you're working on these days. I'm going to turn this back on.
Hateful and critical of her.
So I can finish listening to the radio show.
There are other times, too, when I feel this inner conflict. I'm torn two ways about so many things lately. I must get a grip on myself. Pull myself together. May 3rd. How can I feel sorry for people who feel a hammer beating in their brains? In my brain, there are two hammers beating constantly. When they beat together in rhythm,
His brain, there are two hammers beating constantly. That sounds like you should get it checked out.
Sometimes I feel as if I'm two different people, constantly warring with each other. My body is a battleground, and two personalities inside me are contending for supremacy. May 5th. This horrible war in me is still raging. Neither character will reconcile with the other. For every impulse I feel to do something or say something, there is a counter-impulse against it. Nothing is clear, simple, and uncomplicated anymore. Torn in two directions, any action becomes difficult.
We're shooting an anthology Twilight Zone type.
I just cannot decide things.
3 of them stories. Trying to get it done by Halloween. Nice. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that, Damone. That's awesome.
I am two people. I can feel it so plainly now.
I like it.
Why did I never recognize that fact before? I suppose that in some measure it is true of all of us, that we are divided personalities, but I never thought it could be this strong. The two inhabitants of my physical shell refuse to be still. They're constantly fighting. In my brain, the two hammers.
Oh, you're going to introduce the stories. That's awesome. I love that.
My life in fearful opposition, as if each one were struggling to force its rhythm upon my pulse and heartbeat.
Cigarette. Oh, that's awesome.
I suppose one is
that'll be interesting, because I love it when you host your Saturday morning experience videos, but it would be weird to see you do the
whichever one is in the ascendant.
well, let me pause this while I'm talking. To do the Twilight Zone host thing. So that'll be really fun to check out. I'm really looking forward to that. That's awesome. Sweet. Thanks for telling me about that.
Leader, my body must follow. June 4th. Oh, I'm exhausted by the struggle of trying to unite the two oppositions within me. Why do I bother to struggle?
You getting a bad signal from me?
What difference does it make?
Wonder if it's on my end. It says that I have a good stream.
That cautions me that this double feeling is wrong. A primitive conception that only in singleness of purpose, unity of idea and desire so strong.
Oh.
Do I harm anyone besides myself? Is there any possible menace to
weird.
Janet in this situation?
Check.
Me? I am afraid and ashamed, and sometimes of the violent reaction. It
says that I'm getting a signal.
I have against her.
Weird. I don't know what to tell you, man. On my end, everything looks all right. I'm going to power through it.
July 9th.
Hopefully nobody else experiences this, or the playback doesn't have that problem.
Hold my cells in check. That gave them a good chance to fight over me. Fatigue gives them the opportunity they're looking for, I think. And lately, I've been unable to sleep. We had another division of interest. I'd been doing the farm accounts all day, and my eyes were very tired. Yet one of me stubbornly insisted upon poring over some old manuscripts my dealer had sent from out of town. I had the eerie feeling that part of me sat at a desk reading, while the other one lay back on the couch with his eyes closed.
Wait, that person talking is Mr. Howell. Right now he's not talking.
July 25th. What would Janet say if she knew how we felt about her? I know that my erratic behavior is causing her unhappiness, but how can I explain this thing? One of us loves her so deeply, so surely. There's no joy in life for me without her. And then sometimes I hate her so viciously, so fiercely that I would like to kill her. August 7th. We did it again today. I have decided that I am definitely two people. My body was tired from the outdoor work, but my eyes went into town to see a movie. It was very strange since I had not thought to send my ears along. I watched the actors mouthing on the screen, no sound emerging from their lips, like an old silent picture but without the title. Next time I must remember to send my ears. Though I tried hard at the time, I find I cannot just wish them there and have it happen. If two parts of me are to go away, they must travel together at the same time. You realize what I have just written?
What?
I'm accepting this phenomenon as if it were natural and going to continue, as if I've got to spend the rest of my life with a part of me in one place and parts in another, devising ways to make it more practical and convenient. What strange and hard kind of madness is possessing me? August 21st. If I am to be capable of this trick, that of sending parts of me off on some errand or another while other parts
So this
sit
here is supposed to
quietly
be
at
a
home,
garden hose.
I'm resolved it shall be profitable. Now, last evening there was a symphony in New York. And instead of subjecting myself to the
big mud
journey
puddle.
into town, I sent my ears off by themselves to enjoy it. The music never seemed better to me. Apparently there can be such concentration of that one sense or organ that is by itself as to produce the maximum sensitivity and awareness. The little experiment almost had an embarrassing repercussion, however. Mrs. Wilkes, my housekeeper, came in to tell me something. And it suddenly occurred to me that I would not be able to hear what she was saying, so I quickly pretended that I was asleep. Perhaps not quickly enough, though, because the look she gave me that I saw through my partly closed eyes was peculiar. September 1st. I've been continuing my experiments. Really, this has its elements of advantageousness. Now, last night was rather fun. While the rest of me stayed at home to watch, my hands and arms went out and rang doorbells. It worked wonderfully. Unlike small boys at Halloween, I didn't have to run away for fear of detection. My arms simply concealed themselves in the bushes. And then when the house occupants came to the door, there was no one inside, of course. Just before I went home, my hands and arms went home. I mean, they rang her bell. The confused look on her face when she realized that there was no one there was very funny. I shook with this inward laughter. September 11th. I haven't seen her recently. I've been too busy making my investigations of myself, of my two selves. Besides, one of us gets violent every time we are around her. She does something internally shattering to me, to part of me, just to be in the same room with her. It is as if she were unconsciously trying to exercise something inside of me. Damn her, what right has she to interfere? I intend to live as I please, and I will not be criticized. If she persists, I shall have to find some means of separating her life from mine. I just realized I hadn't said anything in a while because I've been concentrating on this background. I'm actually making really good progress on this. Usually it takes me much longer. My housekeeper has left. To try and do the backgrounds. Does she find me strange? Is it beginning to show? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I can cook well enough for myself. I'm not very hungry either. I am certainly not eating for two. September 21st.
Okay.
I feel better this week.
This building
I've
that
been
he's running
continuing
out of.
with my experiments. It is a strange but positive kind of pleasure. I have a feeling of such incredible power, a strength double that of others. I am two people. I can feel it so plainly now. Why did I never recognize that fact before?
Huh?
I suppose that in some measure it is true of all of us, that we are divided personalities, but I never thought it could be this strong. The two inhabitants of my physical shell refuse to be still. They're constantly fighting. In my brain, the two hammers are always at it. They beat out the minutes of my life in fearful opposition, as if each one were struggling to force its rhythm upon my pulse and heartbeat. I suppose one is probably good and one bad.
Huh.
That is usually so. With me, which is which?
So
I'm so confused, I can't tell the difference.
his personalities are
Whichever
hammers.
one is in the ascendancy seems to me the most desirable self, the leader my body must follow.
Let's move this snap here.
September
Sidewalk.
29th. I must keep away from Janet. I'm likely to do her harm. Last night we both went out to see her. Part of me was lonely, wanted to be warmed by her
Before I switch that, I
personality.
meant to do something else.
I've seen very little of her these past 3 months.
Go back to
The
this.
other part just sat there
get
hating
the
her. I
background
finally
there.
had to leave abruptly when I
The
found
building
my
behind
hands
him.
wanting to fasten themselves on her long white throat. And no matter how I tried, I could not fight down the desire to strangle her.
Bang!
October 11th. Most of my trouble is at night. I find that my thoughts become so absorbed with her chiefly after dark. So that is the time when I must be most careful to find myself these dual occupations. All the work gets done around here at night. The animals are baffled, poor beasts. I exercised the mare in the moonlight last night, but left my head at home.
Huh?
October
Left my head
17th.
at home, exercised
I am
mayor
worried and
in
very
the
frightened.
moonlight.
Tonight, Janet nearly came to great harm. I was tired and a bit careless. I wanted to sleep for a change. So while I
Alright.
lay in bed, still half awake,
That all of this one? No, I got to
my
write
hands
slam
and
in
arms
there.
went away over to her house. I was almost asleep before I realized what was happening, and
Switch up
I
brushes
sprang
for
up
that.
shaking with apprehension. It was all I could do to cover my body sufficiently to make the trip without my hands. And I got to her house just in time, I imagine. My
Make the
hands and
trip
arms
without
were
my
already
hands.
in her
He says a
room.
lot of weird stuff.
And
I'm sure
what
I'm
they
just
were going to
missing
do,
some
I
of it
don't
because
know.
I'm drawing.
But I know they were going to do her some damage, and I had a deep feeling that it was very fortunate that I had been no later than I was. She woke up then and almost screamed. What was I doing in her house, in her room, at such an hour?
There we go. Slam. Dup, dup, dup.
October 23rd. Today I find I am filled with hate for Janet. How I hate her. She's destroying me this way. It is no longer possible for me to
So
even
is he
pretend to
talking
enjoy
about Mrs.
myself.
Howell
She is
and being
limiting
stuck
my action, my
on
freedom.
Gilligan's
All I do
Island
is
with her?
work, so as to be too busy to go near her. But I want to go near her to see
Is
her,
this
and
canon
to be with her.
in the Gilligan's Island universe?
Why does she have to
Wait, that's
hold me
not-
back this way? November 22nd. Tonight I am desperate.
Ooh, I don't like that.
I have left my hands and arms at home.
Yuck!
They are the most dangerous
Baby.
to her. I found that out.
I'm not
The
able to draw
instructions
this
are
line
to
all
go
the way.
on writing in this diary.
There we go.
The rest of me is out
Sheesh.
walking at this moment down the old road over towards the trestle. As I walk, my hands are to continue
So
to
I know this
record what the rest of
penciling
me is
isn't the
doing.
best
It
or the
seems to be
clearest,
working.
but I know what it is
I have
because
the
I
knowledge
drew
that
it.
these lines are
That's
appearing
why.
in the book.
That's why I'm able to understand what I'm looking
How
at.
black the night is and how cold. The road is full of ruts, and these are covered with ice. Every now and then I slip a little as I walk. I must be more careful. Ahead of me, I could see the faint outline of the railroad bridge as it crosses the gap between the two hills. How tall the supports for the tracks are. The drop must be a couple of 100 feet at least. I think I'll climb out on it just to see how it feels. It'll give me something to do with myself. Something is happening to me. My hands at home are refusing to write. They fumble. They're putting down the pen, making a spot on the paper.
It's funny, usually I riff along way more with the show I'm listening to, but I'm just really in the zone on this drawing today.
While my hands are seeking to destroy her, that girl whom I so love and that they hate. That part of me hates. Quickly, turn around, go back. One foot in front of another, no looking down. You remember that from when you were a kid, too. Now, wait a minute. Easy. You almost slipped then. There's ice on the rails. You could only hurry so much if you were to arrive at all. If only I could get there in time. Now, if I
thought I'd just be able to wing that one.
Concentrate beyond all the powers of my brain, perhaps I can project myself into the place where my hands are. Oh, it's no use.
What do you mean edging myself way over there?
All I can accomplish is this icy fear, this foreknowledge of disaster. Something about my hands and her throat. Oh, Janet, darling. I'm coming. I'm making haste.
This episode is nutty. And again with that, what is that? Is that like strings or a flute or something?
November 23rd. I won't pretend that I understand completely, but I know a little more after reading John's diary. There's no use talking about it now. It's all over. Finished. Life is finished in a way for me, too. John is dead, and without him... They found his body this morning in his study. And here in his bedroom, these words that raise more questions than they answer. I had a nightmare last night. I thought I was being strangled, choked to death by two powerful hands that hated me with a live and vengeful hate.
Yeah.
I tried to cry out, but those two hands cut off all sound that I could make. I felt myself slipping away, dying. And then, suddenly, I felt a crash somewhere, far off. And just as suddenly, the hands withdrew from my throat. My breath came back slowly. I remember hearing the clock downstairs strike. It must have awakened me, because I heard its 4 notes, one after the other. They say that John must have died about 4 o'clock, maybe a little before.
Maybe not. Who knows?
I must remember to keep this scarf around my neck at the funeral. Keep it high and well tucked in.
Oops.
Otherwise, the purplish bruises on my throat will show.
Huh?
Suspense.
So she killed him because he was trying to kill her, but she found the diary to explain what happened, but she was there. It was a weird story. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that one. But that is kind of what those stories do. This was during the 1962 season. It is like the end of the radio drama era. So around 1962, or around the end of 1962 or the beginning of 1963, suddenly they all pulled, every radio station pulled all of the programs that were doing radio dramas and stuff like that. And they were all on their last legs anyway, and they were rehashing stories. I don't know if I like that leg there, but that's where I'm at for today. It might be fine. Okay, so what I did get Normally I get to do maybe one panel, but this time, well, I guess this one was already kind of started. So I got to do a panel and a quarter, I guess. So that is what I'm going to do for today. This is just basically a live stream that I do while I work on this webcomic that I have. If you want to check out the first issue of this webcomic, it is available now on Amazon Comixology as an ebook. You can read it for free if you have a Kindle Unlimited. Just clapped my hands. Kindle Unlimited account. You can read the whole thing for free, or you can just get it for $2.99 on Amazon. That is it. I will be back with another live stream some other time while I'm drawing, and see you later.